welcome back to another lap guide. So this week is week 2 of the Season 4 officials for GT4 Fixed. So once again, I'm in the Porsche just by car of choice. Now this lap guide is going to be pretty close for all the GT4 cars. They do have a little bit of their nuances, but this will get you very close and in the ballpark of where you need to be at for all of them. Now the temp is about 110 in this session. So it is very slick. The other thing to note here too is if you're driving the GT4 series and the LMP3 GT4 combo, the setups are going to be pretty different. Your sports car setup is going to be way more loose. It's going to have a lot less wing than the fixed setup does. With that being said, we're going to go over some of the differences between the two setups for specific corners. Now getting right into it. So this reference lap was a 31 flat. Once again on a fixed setup, brake bias at a 47.2, so just how it comes out. So we're looking for the 500 braking board into turn 1. Now I'm using that 100 board as my turn-in marker. Now this curb in particular is something we want to stay off of. On my lap I do touch it a little too much and I get the car a little too high up in the air, but it did actually help me with rotation in that corner. Now corner 2, we want to keep it pretty tight and controlled through here. If you push too hard, you will go too far off on track out. So coming in, you can either use just a little bit of brake to help load the front end of the car. That'll help keep the front end planted as you're turning in, or just a really big lift coming out of the exit of turn 1. We can track all the way out to the grass here. Because this corner starts to go right, we have all the room in the world for track out here. And then my mark for my braking zone is actually going to be the end of this rumble strip. Now to elaborate on that, that is when we can see it in the center of the car. So as soon as the center of the car lines up with right in there, that's my braking marker. We're going to use really light brake pressure and then trail into this corner. You can get all the way up on the grass with a really early throttle application. Now track out of that corner is not too important. This chicane is hardly a chicane and more of a straight. As you can see, we can just flat out jump straight across those curbs. So don't worry about tracking all the way out to the grass on the exit of turn 4. Now coming down this straight, we're looking for the board 400. That's going to be our mark for our braking zone. We want to get as early of downshifts as possible to help get the car slowed down. This is our second curb that we want to stay completely clear of. If we start jumping this thing, it's going to push the car out wide and delay our rotation into the corner. So you can touch it just a little bit, but for the most part we want to stay off of that. Coming through the S's, we want to keep it tight, and ideally we're looking for late apexes here. So if we were to back this up a little bit, now I'm on the curb for this entire duration, but we can see the maximum point is at the very end of this curbing. Now we can use a little bit of brakes through here as well to help keep that front end loaded, and this is going to help us with our late apexes through the corner. Now the reason why we're looking for late apexes is this next right-hander is the most important corner arguably of the track. It looks way more subtle than it actually is, so we want to cut a bunch of curbing here. We can put our left side tires right on the actual curbing apron itself. And we're looking for an early throttle application, and it's going to track you all the way out. Our next braking board is going to be the 300 or just before it. So on the fixed setup, I'm going about 2 cars. 1 to 2 car lengths before that 300 board. You can go a little bit deeper if you can get that downshifting correct. This is our number 3 curbing to absolutely avoid. Once again, it'll push you out wide and delay that car rotation. And track out pretty far here. Because it's such low speed, we still have enough time to get to the right side of the track. And then this corner is arguably the most important one for exits. Now this leads on to the start-finish straight. This is going to be flat out from this apex all the way into turn 1. Now my visual cue for rotation is when my car is lined up from apex, following this inside of the curbing against the grass. So once that car is following that line of trajectory, we've completed rotation. We can get back on throttle all the way to track out and all the way into the straight. Want to open it up just a little bit. And then that is a corner that we definitely want to be very mindful of as far as fixed versus an open setup. Like I said, the open setups are going to have much larger wing. So with a 2 to 3 wing setup, this is going to be very loose through here, and the car is going to want to track all the way out very early, or even actually start to spin, which we don't want to get collected into either of these walls. So now we'll watch a cockpit view. And that is a lap around Indy in a GT4 Porsche. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment or reach out to Chasing the Delta on Discord. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys, and best of luck in officials this week.